Hey everyone, I'm Christy, and boy, do I have a wild story to share with you all today. I've been a longtime subscriber to this channel, and I never thought I'd be the one telling my own crazy tale, but here we are. Grab some popcorn, because this is going to be a doozy. So, picture this. I'm 33, happily married to my amazing husband Keenan for the past 10 years. Life's pretty good, except for one tiny, not so insignificant detail. My mother-in-law from hell, Tracy. Now, I know what you're thinking. Oh, great, another mother-in-law horror story. But trust me, this one's a roller coaster you won't want to miss. I've been dealing with Tracy's antics for a decade now, and let me tell you, I was sick and tired of how she'd act. We don't see her often, thank goodness, but when we do, it's a mess. Tracy is so dramatic and histrionic. I swear she thinks the world revolves around her. Everything has to be about Tracy all the time. It's exhausting. The worst part, my dear, sweet husband, Keenan, has been completely oblivious to all of this. He's always been a bit scared to confront his mother. To him, she's just a sensitive widow who loves her only son a bit too much. But me, I see right through her act. I know who Tracy really is. A conniving, selfish woman who'll do anything to get her way. I've been complaining about this to my good friend Una for ages now. Una's this awesome Belgian lady I met through work, and she's become my confidant in all things Tracy. Recently, we've been meeting up more often because I was selling my car to her. She works for the embassy and wanted to surprise her niece with a nice set of wheels. So anyway, Ona and I had been in talks about the car sale, and of course the conversation always drifted back to my mother-in-law problem. One day as we were finalizing the paperwork for the car, Ona just lost it. Christy, I've had enough of hearing these stories, how awful Tracy can be, how hesitant Keenan is. You need to do something about this, I sighed, stirring my latte. I know, but what can I do? Keenan just doesn't see it. You need to tell Keenan to put his foot down and talk to his mother about her behavior. This is not okay, and it's affecting your marriage. She was right, of course. After chatting with Ona about it for the millionth time, I finally came to my senses. I realized that my husband had to be a bit more firm with his mother. It was time to have a serious talk with Keenan. That night, I decided to broach the subject. Let me tell you, it did not go well. Keenan, we need to talk about your mother. What about her? I think it's time you had a serious conversation with her about her behavior. The way she acts, it's not okay. What are you talking about? Mom, She doesn't mean any harm. Keenan, she constantly undermines me, makes everything about herself, and treats me like I'm not even part of this family. Come on, Christy, you're exaggerating. Mom's just a bit enthusiastic. Enthusiastic? Is that what we're calling it now? Keenan, she tried to redecorate our entire house last Thanksgiving without even asking us. She was just trying to make the place festive by replacing all our family photos with pictures of herself. How is that festive? Okay, maybe that was a bit much, but a bit much? Keenan, she told the neighbors we were getting a divorce because I didn't use her stuffing recipe. Wait, what? Where did that happen? Last Christmas, Mrs. Johnson came over with a casserole and a pamphlet for a divorce lawyer. Your mother told her I was, and I quote, tearing this family apart with my stubbornness and lack of proper cooking skills. I'm sure she didn't mean it like that. You know how mom can exaggerate sometimes. Exaggerate? Keenan, she's actively trying to sabotage our marriage. Don't you see that? Now you're the one exaggerating. Mom wouldn't do that. Oh, really? What about the time she accidentally booked us separate rooms on our anniversary trip? That was just a misunderstanding with the hotel, a misunderstanding that she arranged and paid for. Keenan, wake up. Your mother is manipulative and controlling, and it's affecting our lives. Don't talk about my mother like that. She's been through a lot since Dad died. She's just lonely. Being lonely doesn't give her the right to meddle in our lives. It doesn't excuse her behavior. You don't understand. She needs us. No, Keenan. She needs therapy and boundaries. What we need is to have a life without your mother constantly interfering. So what, you want me to just abandon my mother? Is that it? No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying we need to set clear boundaries. We need to be a united front when she oversteps. A united front? It sounds like you just want me to agree with everything you say about her. That's not fair, Keenan. I'm trying to protect our marriage, our family. My mother is family too, Christy. You can't just expect me to cut her out. I'm not asking you to cut her out. I'm asking you to stand up to her when she's wrong, to support me when she's being unreasonable. Oh, and I suppose you're the one who decides when she's being unreasonable. Is that really what you think of me? That for just being petty? No, I don't know. This is all just so frustrating. It's frustrating for me too, Keenan. Do you think I enjoy feeling like I'm in constant competition with your mother for your attention and loyalty? You're not in competition with her. You're my wife. Then start acting like it. Start putting our family first. I don't know how to do that without hurting my mom. Sometimes, Keenan, you have to be willing to risk hurting someone's feelings to do what's right. Your mother is an adult. She needs to learn to respect our boundaries. I don't want to lose her. She's all the family I have left besides you and the kids. I know, honey. And I'm not asking you to lose her. I'm asking you to help me find a way for all of us to coexist without the constant drama and interference. The argument went on for a while, with Keenan defending his mom and me trying to make him see reason. In the end, we both went to bed angry and frustrated. For the next few days, things were tense between us. I was becoming more distant, and Keenan was clearly upset but didn't know how to fix things. After about a week of this Cold War, Keenan finally came to his senses. He approached me one evening, looking sheepish. Hey, Christy, can we talk? I nodded, putting down my book. Sure, what's up? I've been thinking about what you said about Mom, and maybe you have a point. I tried not to look too surprised. Yeah, I mean, I love my mom, but I can see how some of her actions might come across as overbearing. That's putting it mildly, but go on. I was thinking maybe we could use some time away, just the two of us, to work on our relationship without any outside influences. Now he had my attention. What did you have in mind? How about a vacation? A long overdue one, just you and me. We could go to Hawaii, maybe? I hear Honolulu is beautiful this time of year. I couldn't help but smile. This was the Keenan I fell in love with. Thoughtful, caring, and willing to make an effort. That sounds wonderful, babe. But what about your mom? I promise I'll talk to her about everything once we get back. This trip is about us, okay? No mom drama allowed. I leaned in and kissed him. Deal. So we started planning our trip to Honolulu. I was excited. Finally, some alone time with my husband, away from the prying eyes of his mom. I thought my luck was finally turning around. Oh, how wrong I was. When Tracy found out about the vacation, she was outraged, and I mean full-on apocalyptic levels of outrage. How dare we plan a trip without including her? The audacity. What do you mean you're going to Hawaii without me? Keenan, I'm your mother. How could you exclude me like this? Mom, it's just a trip for Christy and me. We need some time alone. Alone? What for? I'm sure Christy put you up to this. She's always trying to come between us. I could hear her ranting from across the room. Keenan shot me an apologetic look as he tried to calm his mother down. Mom, that's not true. This was my idea. Christy and I just need some time to ourselves. We'll plan a family trip another time, okay? I see how it is. My own son doesn't want me around. Fine, go on your little trip. Don't mind me. I'll just sit here all alone. Mom, please don't be like this. We'll call you when we get there, okay? Oh, I see how it is. You'll call when you get there. I suppose that's all I'm good for now, just a quick phone call. Mom, that's not what I meant. No, I understand perfectly. You two go off and have your fun. Don't mind me, I'll just sit here all alone, wondering if my only son is safe or if he's been swept away by a tsunami. For heaven's sake, Tracy, there are no tsunamis forecast. Christy, please. Mom, you're being ridiculous. We're going to be fine. Ridiculous? Is it ridiculous to worry about my baby boy? I suppose Christy has convinced you I'm some sort of monster now. Mom, stop. Chrissy has nothing to do with this. This trip was my idea, remember? Oh, please. I know she's been whispering in your ear, turning you against me. Next thing I know, you'll be telling me you're moving to Hawaii permanently. We're not moving to Hawaii, Mom. It's just a vacation. A normal, couples-only vacation. A couple's vacation. So now I'm not even part of the couple anymore. I see how it is. You've replaced me, haven't you? Mom, you were never part of our couple. Christy is my wife. You're my mother. It's different. Different? How can you say that after all I've done for you? Mom, I love you, but this conversation is getting out of hand. We're going on this trip. We'll call you when we get there. That's final. But what if something happens to you? What if you need me? Nothing's going to happen, Mom, and if we need you, we'll call. I promise. After what felt like hours, Keenan finally managed to end the call. He looked exhausted. Well, that went well. I'm sorry about that. She'll calm down eventually. I wasn't so sure about that, but I decided to let it go. We had a vacation to look forward to after all. The day of our trip finally arrived and we were off to Honolulu. The first couple of days were absolute bliss, sun, sand, and no Tracy in sight. But of course, it couldn't last. During our vacation, Tracy would constantly call and text both of us. I'm talking multiple times a day, people. We did our best to ignore her constant ramblings, but it was getting ridiculous. Keenan, darling, how's the weather there? I heard there might be a storm coming. Maybe you should cut your trip short and come home early. A storm coming. Maybe you should cut your trip short and come home early. Weather's fine, Mom. No storms. We're having a great time. Christy, dear, are you making sure Keenan is wearing sunscreen? You know how easily he burns. Oh, and make sure he doesn't eat any shellfish. He had a reaction once when he was 5. Thanks, Tracy. We've got it under control. Gotta go. We're heading to the beach. It was like this every single day. Despite Tracy's best efforts to ruin our vacation, Keenan and I managed to have a great time. We relaxed on the beach, tried some local cuisine, and even went on a romantic sunset cruise. It was exactly what we needed. As our trip was coming to an end, I felt refreshed and ready to face whatever Tracy might throw our way. Little did I know, she had been cooking up something truly diabolical while we were gone. We arrived home late in the evening, exhausted but happy from our trip. Keenan was unlocking the front door when I noticed something. That's when I noticed something odd. The garage door was slightly open, thinking maybe we'd forgotten to close it properly before leaving, although I could have sworn we double-checked everything. I walked over to close it, but as I reached for the handle, I froze. Something wasn't right. I pulled the door up fully, and my jaw hit the floor. The garage was empty. The car was gone. Now, let me clarify something here. This wasn't just any car. This was the car I had recently sold to my friend Ona, like I mentioned before. We had completed all the paperwork before the trip, but Ona had asked if she could keep the car in our garage for a bit longer. She was in the process of moving houses and wanted to get the car once she had settled into her new place. So finding the garage empty sent me into a panic. I rushed into the house to find Keenan. Keenan, the car is gone. What? What do you mean? Gone? I mean, it's not in the garage. It's just gone. We spent the next hour searching the house, making sure nothing else was missing and trying to figure out what could have happened. Had someone broken in? But nothing else seemed to be touched. I called Ona to ask if she had come to pick up the car while we were away, but she was just as confused and upset as I was. What do you mean the car is missing? Christy, I haven't touched it. Oh my God, was there a break-in? I don't know, Una, nothing else seems to be missing. Just the car. This is not good, Christy. That car is mine now. We need to call the police. I agreed with Ona, but before we could do anything else, Keenan suggested we check with his mom. Maybe she had seen something or heard from the neighbors about any suspicious activity. Keenan pulled out his phone and texted his mother. Hey Mom, we just got back and noticed the car is missing from the garage. Did you hear anything about break-ins in the neighborhood while we were gone? We waited anxiously for a response. A few minutes later, Keenan's phone pinged. Missing car? No, I haven't heard anything. How terrible. Are you both okay? Should I come over? Keenan showed me the text, and I frowned. Something about her response felt off. But before I could voice my suspicions, my own phone started ringing. It was Tracy. I answered, putting it on speaker so Keenan could hear. Hello, Tracy. And that's when things took a turn for the absolutely insane. Hello, Christy dear. Did you enjoy your little vacation? Yes, we did. Tracy, did you? Well, I'm so glad you had fun because while you were off gallivanting in Hawaii, I decided to have a little fun of my own. What are you talking about? Ooh, don't play dumb, you stupid woman. Your precious car? I sold it. That's right, I sold your car and treated myself to a nice little vacation package. How does it feel to be left out, huh? I was speechless. Keenan's eyes were wide with shock. We both just stood there, listening to Tracy cackle like a cartoon villain. What's the matter, Christy? Cat got your tongue? You didn't think you could just exclude me from your plans without consequences, did you? I showed you, didn't I? I bet you're not feeling so smug now. As Tracy continued her unhinged rant, my shock slowly turned to a strange sense of calm, because suddenly everything clicked into place. And I realized that Tracy had just dug her own grave. Tracy, the car actually belongs to... Oh, save your excuses. I don't want to hear it. I hope you learned your lesson about... Tracy, the car wasn't mine to sell. There was a pause on the other end of the line. What? What do you mean it wasn't yours? I mean, I had already sold that car to my friend. Ona, she works for the Belgian embassy. The car legally belonged to her. You just sold someone else's property, Tracy. The silence on the other end of the line was deafening. I could almost hear the gears turning in Tracy's head as she processed this information. You're lying. You're just saying that to scare me. I'm not lying, Tracy. If you checked the glove compartment of the car you sold, you would have found the new registration papers there. The car belongs to Ona. There was a sharp intake of breath from Tracy's end. Then panic set in. Oh God. Oh God, what have I done? Christy, you have to help me. Why didn't you tell me sooner? This is all your fault. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Even now, she was trying to blame me for her actions. My fault, Tracy. You broke into our house and sold a car that didn't belong to you. How is that my fault? You should have told me. You should have warned me. Oh God, am I gonna go to jail? Christy, please, you have to help me. Don't let them put me in jail. As Tracy continued to beg and plead, I noticed Keenan. He had been silent this whole time, his face a mix of shock, anger, and disappointment. Suddenly, he spoke up. Mom, stop. Just stop. Keenan, you heard all that? Every word, Mom. I can't believe you would do something like this. Breaking into our house, selling a car that wasn't yours, all to get back at us for taking a vacation. And I just asked you about it, and you lied to me. What were you thinking? Keenan, baby, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to. I just wanted, please, you have to help me. Don't let them arrest me. I don't know what to say, Mom. This is too much. I think you should come back home now. We'll figure out what to do later. But Keenan, please, I need your help. Goodbye, Mom. We'll talk later. And with that, Keenan reached over and ended the call. The silence that followed was heavy with tension. Keenan, not now, Christy. I need a minute. He walked out of the room, leaving me standing there, still trying to process everything that had just happened. I knew I needed to call Ona and explain the situation, but first I allowed myself a moment to breathe. This was it. The moment when everything changed. Tracy had finally shown her true colors, and there was no going back from this. I picked up my phone again and dialed Ona's number. She answered on the first ring, sounding worried. Christy, what's going on? Did you find out what happened to the car? I took a deep breath and launched into the story, explaining everything that had just transpired with Tracy. Ona listened in stunned silence, only occasionally muttering Belgian expletives under her breath. And that's the whole story, Una. I'm so sorry this happened. We'll do everything we can to make this right. Mon Dieu, Christine, I knew your mother-in-law was a piece of work, but this is beyond anything I could have imagined. I know. I'm still in shock myself. Well, one thing's for certain. I'm going to sue that conniving witch for everything she's worth. I completely understand. We'll support you in whatever you decide to do. I appreciate that, Christy. And please, don't blame yourself for any of this. This is all on your monster-in-law. I'll be in touch with my lawyer and we'll take it from there. After ending the call with Ona, I went to find Keenan. He was sitting on the edge of our bed, staring blankly at the wall. I sat down next to him, not saying anything, just offering my presence. Finally, Keenan spoke. I can't believe she did this. My own mother. I'm so sorry, Keenan. I know this must be incredibly hard for you. You were right. All this time, you were right about her, and I didn't listen. I'm so sorry, Christy. I pulled him into a hug, feeling his body shake slightly as he finally let his emotions out. It's okay, babe. We'll get through this together. We sat like that for a while, just holding each other. Eventually, Keenan pulled away, wiping his eyes. So what do we do now? Well, I talked to Ona. She's planning to sue your mom. Keenan nodded slowly. I can't say I blame her. What mom did was illegal. She needs to face the consequences of her actions. Just then, Keenan's phone buzzed. It was a text from Tracy. Keenan, please, I need to come over and explain. We can smooth this all out, please, baby. Help mommy fix this. Keenan showed me the text, his face a mix of disgust and sadness. No, Mom, I don't want to see you right now. What you did was wrong on so many levels. You need to deal with the consequences of your actions. Tracy's response was almost immediate. But Keenan, I'm your mother. You can't abandon me like this. Please, I'm begging you. Keenan turned off his phone without responding. I can't deal with her right now. The next few days were a whirlwind of activity. We filed a police report about the stolen car, and Ona's lawyers got to work on the lawsuit against Tracy. Meanwhile, Tracy kept trying to contact us, alternating between begging for forgiveness and blaming me for everything. One afternoon, I got yet another call from Tracy. Against my better judgment, I answered. Christine, dear, I think we got off on the wrong foot. I'm sure we can work this out between us, can't we? There's no need to involve lawyers or the police. Tracy, what you did was illegal. You stole and sold property that wasn't yours. This isn't something we can just sweep under the rug. Now you listen here, you little homewrecker. This is all your fault. If you hadn't turned my son against me, none of this would have happened. You need to fix this. I'm not going to fix anything, Tracy. You did this to yourself. You ungrateful little... Do you know who I am? I'll ruin you for this. I'll make sure you never... I hung up the phone, my hands shaking slightly. Keenan, who had overheard the conversation, came over and hugged me. I'm so sorry you have to deal with this, Christy. I promise you, it ends now. I'm done letting her treat you this way. True to his word, Keenan blocked his mother's number that day. It was a difficult decision for him, but he knew it was necessary for our peace of mind. As the weeks passed, the legal proceedings moved forward. Ona's lawyers were building a solid case against Tracy, and it was looking like she would face some serious consequences for her actions. Tracy, meanwhile, was becoming increasingly desperate. She started showing up at our house unannounced, leaving tearful voicemails on our work phones, and even tried to contact our friends to get to us. One day, she cornered me in the grocery store parking lot. Christy, you have to help me. They're saying I might go to jail. Me? Tracy, I've told you before, I can't help you. What you did was wrong, and now you have to face the consequences. But I'm family. Doesn't that mean anything to you? Family doesn't steal from family, Tracy. Family doesn't try to hurt each other out of spite. You made your choices, now you have to live with them. I walked away, leaving her standing there in shock. It felt good to finally stand up to her after all these years. When I got home and told Keenan about the encounter, he was furious that his mother had ambushed me like that. He decided it was time to have one final conversation with her. We invited Tracy over, with the condition that if she couldn't remain calm and rational, she would have to leave immediately. She agreed, probably thinking this was her chance to manipulate us into helping her. When she arrived, she looked a mess. Her usually perfectly coiffed hair was disheveled and her makeup was smudged. She immediately tried to hug Keenan, but he stepped back. Sit down, Mom, we need to talk. Oh, Keenan, I knew you'd come around. You'll help mommy, won't you? No, Mom. I'm not here to help you get out of this. I'm here to make it clear that your behavior is unacceptable and has to stop. Tracy's face fell as Keenan continued. What you did was illegal and completely out of line, but it's not just about the car. It's about the years of manipulative behavior, of trying to come between Christy and me, of refusing to respect our boundaries. But I'm your mother. I have a right to... No, Mom. You don't have a right to interfere in our lives. You don't have a right to break into our home or sell our property. And you certainly don't have a right to treat Christy the way you have been. Tracy turned to me, her eyes pleading. Christine, please, tell him. Tell him you forgive me. I'm sorry, Tracy, but I can't do that. Your actions have consequences, and it's time you faced them. Tracy's face contorted with rage. You, she shrieked, pointing at me. This is all your fault. You've poisoned my son against me. Keenan stood up, his voice cold. That's enough, Mom. I think you should leave now. Leave. You're choosing her over your own mother after everything I've done for you? Goodbye, Mom. Don't contact us again unless it's through your lawyer. As Tracy was ushered out, still ranting and raving, I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. It was over. We had finally stood up to her. In the weeks that followed, we focused on healing and moving forward. Keenan started therapy to work through his feelings about his mother, and our relationship grew stronger than ever. As for Tracy, well, karma finally caught up with her. Ona's lawsuit was successful, and Tracy was ordered to pay a substantial amount in damages. She's currently saying she doesn't have the funds to pay, but both Keenan and I aren't interested in helping her wiggle out of this one. There's talk of potential jail time for the theft and fraud, but that's still up in the air. Either way, Tracy is finally facing the consequences of her actions, and honestly, it feels pretty damn good. So that's my wild story, folks. From dealing with a nightmare mother-in-law to uncovering a crime and standing up for ourselves, it's been one hell of a ride. If there's one thing I've learned from all this, it's that sometimes you have to be willing to stand your ground, even against family. Keenan and I are in a good place now, stronger for having gone through this together. And Tracy, well, let's just say she won't be selling any more cars that don't belong to her anytime soon. Thanks for listening to my crazy tale, everyone.